On today's episode of
and
Before the Shift,
I've had a lot of good justifications on the way I felt, the way I handled the situation. I was dead ass wrong. You literally have to take yourself out of your body, take yourself out of your emotion, put yourself in their shoes, flip the whole story around. What I like this has done to me, always know how to handle a situation before you're in the situation. Everything didn't go my way and I lost it. I fucking lost it. That the reflection that I was giving out into the world because of how hurt I am and how triggered I was wasn't the reflection I wanted to be perceived by anybody or even by myself, because that's not who I was. On some real Bryson Tiller shit, you really do have to. Oh, we're back. We're back. The solar eclipse is eclipsing. Why? Why do I say that, you might ask? Because one, it's 11 p.m. at night, and I'm also, the cup is here, the vibes are vibing. You know, one, if it's late, two, the wine's out, three, if I don't have anything written up for this podcast, which I do not. These are old time cards. But today, I literally put on a whole fit and I was like, I have something to say. And honestly, it couldn't wait any longer. I truthfully just feel I had to get this off. So I'm like, let me just express my feelings on my podcast, because where else to do it? Who needs a therapist when you have a podcast? So I remember I tweeted the other day stating that sometimes not only are you wrong, but you are dead ass wrong. And I feel like in the tweet I said, and that's okay. And then I put in quotation marks, accountability. And I think accountability is something that not only that I've known very well over the years of my life, I think I had to fully come to terms with this year, and I'm going to get into that. I also hope that throughout this podcast, you guys pick up on some maybe tips and tricks on how to take accountability, on how to realize when you are wrong in a situation, on how to step back and analyze the situation before stepping forward and making a decision, how to not make sporadic decisions, how to not make decisions off of insecurities or non-processed emotions. So I'm just here to state, mind you, there isn't any cards. I just like holding cards in my hand. This year, I have been through a transit of events, must I tell you. And I just think I learned so much throughout this year. I think I've just have a lot of friends and family to thank because of that, through my growth, through my pursuits in life. I think I had a lot of positive feedback, and I think I had a lot of support that I haven't had over the years. So it kind of just made me step back and look at things from a much wider and broader perspective. Now let's get into it. Now, for someone who's never been dead ass wrong before, and I'll never not say never, I've been wrong before, but I think throughout my life growing up, I've always been the catalyst of someone that's just done things right, that's always tried to look at things on a more positive standpoint, who's always tried to judge both sides. I was always the friend that people came to with the problem. And that's how things worked for me. So I always felt I had a good idea on gauging out situations on and how to handle situations. And you always know how to handle situations before it comes to you. So you always know how to handle a situation before you're in the situation. And I also think I learned that this year through friends putting me in circumstances that I was in. I think I learned that through friends putting me in the shoes of those I was putting people. I think I learned through my friends putting me in the shoes of those that I felt I have done wrong, or I felt I didn't do wrong. I had to be put in the shoes of those people to be like, maybe I was dead ass wrong. I just think it's so crazy how I am strongly moved and motivated by the love that I have for others. Now let me explain that. I think through my friends I learn a lot, my family I learn a lot, but I think this year I learned a lot about what I want in the coming future in regards to love and actual relationships. So I think it made me see myself in a much different standpoint, or because I'm putting myself in situations where I'm like, okay, I kind of have to honor someone else, something I've never done before. I've never acknowledged or had to be, I've never had to acknowledge someone else in a relationship, even family members for that matter. Like, that was never something I really had to think of. So when it came to taking accountability, I always just stood alone in the idea that if I did everything by myself, I can never hurt anybody else. If I run my ship the way that I want to run my ship, then no one else can fuck it up. Until last year, I think I just had a switch of events where everything didn't go my way and I lost it. I fucking lost it. And for the first time, I think I could say that, because when I look back at everything that I did, I was so selfish. I really was very, very selfish, and I was only thinking about me in that matter. And I think although I had a lot of good standpoints and I've had a lot of good justifications on the way I felt, the way I handled the situation, I was dead ass wrong. And I think I could take full accountability for that now. Now, without stating too much of my personal life on my podcast and still trying to give the advice that I want to give through this podcast, that is why things are a little shallow when I speak about them. But that is only because I still do respect the privacy of those that I have in my personal life, and also the privacy of myself. I'm an open book, but I still do have to think about everyone else within my storyline. In realizing that I was dead ass wrong, and being someone that, even growing up in my younger childhood and my early teenage years, I felt that I always had to be the person that took the shorter end of the stick. I always had to be the bigger person. And that's in both my personal life, my friendships, and my family. So you kind of get used to it in the standpoint where you're like, okay, I can always be the bigger person. But I think last year, when I was in that selfish standpoint and I just got out of going through all that I went through, and I just think because of everything that I went through, everything should go my way, and everybody should just listen to what I have to say, and I shouldn't honor anyone else's feelings. And that's so wrong when I look back at it. And it really took me seeing that if I was in a relationship, because this does have something to do with relationships and things like that, I don't know what it's like to acknowledge someone else. And I think when I had a recent epiphany a few days ago, and I was like, whoa, like if I was in a relationship and someone didn't respect my relationship, or someone didn't respect my boyfriend, or someone didn't respect my boyfriend's friends, I would flip the fuck out. And that's just off of a respect standpoint. That's off of a friendship standpoint. That's off of a loyalty and consideration standpoint. And although in the friendship that I had in the past, I felt that was overlooked and overseen by being considered and loyalty and things like that, I felt I was still right. But you're not. You're never really right when you're wrong. You're never right when you're dead ass wrong. Growing and taking that accountability took a lot of self-isolation. It took a lot of stepping back and seeing things from the other person's standpoint, from the other person's point of view. You literally have to take yourself out of your body, take yourself out of your emotions, put yourself in their shoes, flip the whole story around as if you weren't the person you were and you were them. And then that's the only way you can see it from their perspective and fully understand that. Would I like if this is done to me? Would I like if someone handled the situation that I handled it in? Would I like if someone spoke to me in the manner that they spoke to me in? Would I like, these are all things that ran through my mind, and I was just like, oh my God, Jody, you're so wrong. And you only notice those things when you're re-triggered from your childhood, or you're re-triggered from the way you were once spoken to, and how you feel you don't deserve that kind of manner, or how you feel you've always been wrong, so you can just act this way. It's never right. It's never right, regardless of how you judge it, regardless of how you justify yourself and your actions. If you know that you wouldn't like that done to you, it's dead ass wrong. So this could be a quicker podcast, but I did want to get that off simply because it's something that I learned this year. And it's also something that I learned for someone that I really care about. And it's so crazy. But I think when the very person that encouraged me to make this podcast told me that I was kind of dead ass wrong, and I had to do the actions that I had to do to make things right, things just kind of clicked. And that also explains the reason why I've been pretty distant from my podcast, because I think when you want to be right in all aspects, or you want to feel like you have all the right things to say, and you're in a state of mind where people are like, you got to fix that, you're wrong. It's like, I don't want to be on a podcast where I'm telling everybody what to do or giving people advice where I feel like I don't even know what the fuck to do for myself. So it's hard, and I'm sorry I've been distant with that, but I also do feel like I had to explain that. I might put this part at the beginning of this video, but definitely had to explain that and get that part off, because I never want to mislead someone on this platform. I never want to give the wrong advice, so I really had to self-isolate for a little bit and really dive within myself and realize what was right, what was wrong, what had to be done to fix my wrongs on some real Bryson Tiller shit. You really do have to right your wrongs. But that was a lot I had to take into aspect, because when I did first start this podcast, I brought the idea to somebody and I told them, and I was like, I really want to start this podcast. And they were so encouraging of it, but I was also discouraging myself by telling them, I'm like, I never want to start a podcast because I don't want to be that person like these men do when they're wronged in life. And then they get on a podcast and they start giving all this misinformation about women, about dating, about relationships, about all this stuff. And it's just this misinformation. I never wanted to be that. I never wanted to give that. So when he was like, well, you just have to start it and give your honest opinion on what it is, it's a podcast. It's your platform. What you give on here, regardless it's good information or it's your information. And I was like, you're so right for that. But having that encouragement and then going through everything I went through with feeling like I would lose that person. The wine is hitting. Oh my God. I love how I said the wine is hitting, so I get more wine. It's just so crazy because I think me being a person that bases a lot of what I learn and get out of this world is through those I love speaks volume, because I never saw myself being wrong in an aspect of, I saw myself in a different standpoint simply because it was emotions that I've never dealt with before. It was feelings that I've never dealt with before. So I think it was a very premature way of handling it when I was dealt with it, since it was so new for me. And even realizing that and being someone that not necessarily always wants to be right, but wants to do right by the world and do right by people, you kind of get a little sideswept when you feel like you'll lose that person, or you feel like that person will view you differently. And the most I could give in regards to this is just, I learned a lot about myself in regards to insecurities with those around me, or insecurities in regards to friendship, or even jealousy, even something that I never knew I even had. Which is crazy to say. Someone who's as confident as I am, who speaks so highly of myself, I don't even think I've ever even saw myself in that standpoint. But this is me being very vulnerable right now. So in order to combat that and kind of fix that, I had to right my wrongs, because I knew that the reflection that I was giving out into the world because of how hurt I am and how triggered I was, wasn't the reflection I wanted to be perceived by anybody, or even by myself, because that's not who I was. I'm not insecure. I'm not jealous. I'm not like negatively narcissistic. I'm not selfish. I'm not all of these things that even myself I was perceiving to be. And I think that is the worst place to be in, when you just know you are outrightly being that and you could say it. It almost is disgusting on the tongue, so you want to change it. And that's exactly what I did these past few weeks. Not that, of course, it's going to take time, and these are things that I'm growing through and healing from, and triggers that I didn't know I even had. Of course, we got to still heal that separately, and it takes time, but the acknowledgement of it all is what I want to get at. And the point of this video is to really take account for what you do. Take accountability for your actions. Know what you did. Know when you hurt people. Know when you have to right your wrongs. Consider other people's feelings when you are doing things for yourself, regardless of how that may feel. Honor other people's feelings, whether they be in your life or not. Everyone's feelings still matter, which is also something, it's a lot. And I think we are all human and we are all growing, but that is exactly why I'm making this video. So yeah, I was dead ass wrong. And I hope if you took anything from this video, it's to learn to not beat yourself up over doing bad by things, but to learn from them and to hopefully do them less in the future, or maybe not at all, if you can really just nip it in the butt on what you don't want to do or who you don't want to be. End it there, end it now, and you will have a blissful and beautiful life, especially if it's for the sake of relationships you care about, people you care about, people you don't want to lose, people that you love, people that you are beginning to love. All right, let me shut the fuck up. I'm dragging it. You get what I'm saying. And like every other podcast, I do want to leave a question with this video too. And my question for today's podcast is, when is a time in your life where you've had to take account for your wrongdoing, and how did you fix it? How did you go about taking accountability and fixing that situation? Thank you so much if you've gotten this far into the video, if you sat through this very late filming today. I appreciate it. And I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all, look at the amount of cards over time that I have accumulated with this podcast. I'm like overly proud, and we're coming towards the end of the year. And must I say, this was supposed to be a mic check, like I'm checking to see if the mic works, but I just have so much gratitude for one, the positive feedback of it all, and then two, my own constant pursuit towards this podcast. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. I just have so much gratitude currently for everything, for where I'm at in life, and yeah. Mic check, is working, let's see.